Hey everyone, welcome back to this series 30 Days of JavaScript. In this video, I'm going to solve the next problem from the section promises and time. So let's get started with promise time limit. So given asynchronous function fn and time t in milliseconds, so these two are the parameters. So we have to return a time limited version of the input function. Okay, so this is the input function fn and it should be time limited, which means time bound kind of. Let's see how the implementation will be. So the fn function take arguments provided to the time limited function. This function takes some arguments and those are coming from this function. So here you can observe there are some arguments available. So we have to pass these arguments to this fn function. So we have to follow some rules for this time limited function. Okay, so if the fn function completes within the time limit of t milliseconds, then the function should resolve with the result. If the execution of this function is completed before this given milliseconds, then we can resolve the result. Otherwise, if the execution of fn exceeds the time limit, so if it is taking more time, then the function should reject with the string time limit exceeded. So here we have to return a promise. Okay, so I'm creating a promise object. So this takes a function that contains resolve and reject as the parameters. So let us try to implement this functionality. So first of all, I will consider the second point. So let's say we can take a variable. So I will store timeout reference set timeout. So this timeout function takes a callback function followed by the time in milliseconds. So here I will use this given time. Let's say if we passed this time, so if the time is over, so if the given milliseconds are over, so I will simply reject. So I will call this reject function and pass this string. Okay, so if the execution of fn exceeds the time limit, if this gets executed before this function evaluation, that means fn function took more time. So that's the reason we have a set timeout, and the return value of this function will be the reference of this set timeout. So I am storing this in a variable. So now I will take try catch block. So this takes an error parameter. So I will explain why I'm using this try catch block. Okay, let's go for the positive scenario. So if the fn function completes within the time limit, so we should resolve with the result, right? So let's try to call this function. So I will store this response in a variable. We can call this function, and so this takes arguments from the, so from this function we have these arguments available, right? So we can pass this like this. So here we have to note one thing. So you can observe this in the input examples. So this function is an asynchronous function and it takes some time to resolve. Because of that, we are supposed to await for the response. Whenever you are using await inside a function, you should make sure that function is asynchronous. Now, once we have the response available, what I will do, I will clear the timeout. We can clear by using this, by passing this reference to this function, because the function executed even before the set timeout executed. Okay, that's the reason we can clear the timeout and we can simply resolve with the result. Okay, so we have the result available here in the response variable. So this is good. If the function completes within the time milliseconds, the function should resolve with the result. So that's what we are doing. We are resolving the result and we are also clearing the timeout, because we have to clear it in order to avoid memory leak, because set timeout will execute in a future time, right? So now the reason why I'm using the try catch block is, for example, if you observe these examples, this fn function is throwing error. You are supposed to catch that and even handle that case as well. Because of that, I will simply, so let's take this and paste here. Here in the catch, we have error parameter available, right? So we can pass this here and it should be reject, not resolve. So even in the error case also, I'm trying to clear the timeout for avoiding memory. So this is the implementation. So let's run the problem. All right, so let's submit. Okay, cool. So the solution is accepted. So that's all about this problem. I hope it is helpful. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.